Hello everyone, this week's video took a while to make, so I hope you enjoy it. In today's video I will be ranking all of Sai's characters. I have done this before, but that was only for the CPU versions of the characters, and it didn't even include all the characters, and overall the video is pretty garbage. So in this video I will be giving a proper ranking for all the characters. But before I start ranking all the characters, let me explain how they'll be ranked. For this tier list, I will be ranking a character based on how strong they are, how detailed they are, and the gimmick of the character, because most, if not all of them, have a gimmick. Also, please forgive me if I get some information wrong about these characters. I have played many of these characters, as you've probably seen in my Winning with Every Sai character videos. However, I'm no expert, so yeah, if I get something wrong, be sure to tell me and don't be angry about it. Also, one last thing. When ranking these characters, they are being ranked against each other. So if a character is in a lower tier like C or D, just note that's because the character is held up to the standards of other Sai characters, so, you know, pretty high. So just note that if these characters were ranked against other characters in the workshop, they would most likely be ranked A or higher, other than one, but we'll talk about that later. Now, this character is sorta hard to rank because there are several versions of this character out right now, but I'm just gonna talk about the current one. While Zeta used to be way stronger, after the rework they became far less powerful. However, Zeta makes up for this because of all the detail put into this character. There are 5 different taunts, multiple special alts that change the voice lines of the character, as well as the animations just being beautiful on their own. Other than that, the gimmick is fairly simple. You gain charges by attacking your opponent, and you can spend them to make certain special attacks stronger. So overall, the visuals and details are the main thing carrying this character, and because of that, they're going into S tier. Don't worry, this is definitely not bias. Alex is pretty similar to Zeta in the fact that they used to be way stronger before they were reworked, and they make up for this with amazing visuals. The flame effects with most of Alex's attacks are very flashy and go well with the character's aesthetic overall. The gimmick of this character is that you apply flames to your opponent through attacks, and once the opponent has 3 flames on them, you can use neutral special to essentially teleport to them. Even after the rework, Alex is still super strong in terms of attacks. However, the recovery is so terrible that this character is going into A tier. Very close to S, except the details are less than Zeta's, and although the attacks are stronger than Zeta's, the recovery basically negates that. Now, Katie is probably one of, if not the strongest character on this list. Katie has multiple strong beam sword attacks paired with faster attacking guns attacks, so already this is a pretty solid character. But then you get to the gimmick of this character. The gimmick is that the more you hit the opponent, the higher your meter will be filled, as well as giving you a higher score that will give you meter over time. But what do you do with this meter, you may ask? Sure, it looks pretty, but something that just looks pretty isn't going to help me win. Well, simple. Use down special to pull out a whole array of weapons. Now you can truly live up your American dream. Now you can pull out guns, even more guns, or if you're really feeling fancy, big gun. Not only that, but you also have grenades, tanks, airstrikes, more airstrikes, and even landmines. This character has so many attacks and different ways to play them, as well as being strong on their own. They also have a pretty nice half-devil ult that changes the voice lines and adds in a special taunt attack. So overall, again, not as fancy as Zeta. I don't think any character can top them. But still, this character is one of the strongest currently and has a huge variety of attacks, so overall S tier.
Making the mother of all omelets here, Jack. Can't fret over every egg. Nanomachine, son. They hard in response to physical trauma. You can't hurt me, Jack. What did I just say?
So it was at this point in making the script I realized that if I keep doing some of the most popular characters, it was just going to be a bunch of A and S tiers. So for now, I'm going to look at some of the more obscure characters. Also, if you haven't already by this point, please consider subscribing. Kazuki has the power of electricity on their side. All their attacks have the ability to be charged to make them stronger or go further. However, you also have the ability to hit your opponent and charge your meter. I'm starting to see a pattern now. Once your meter is charged, you can use any special attack to use it at its fully powered up mode automatically without having to charge anything. With this ability, Kazuki is a pretty solid character overall, however not nearly as strong as the other characters, and it is a bit lacking in detail compared to the other characters. However, this is not to say that it looks bad or it's a poorly made character, just compared to other characters, it's not as detailed. So overall, with that said, Kazuki is going in B tier. Not bad. Sia is again another character that used to be way stronger, but now is still decently strong. This character's main gimmick is the ability to go invisible, and while this does seem pretty cool and also a pretty strong quirk of the character, it can also sometimes be confusing, because when I go invisible, sure, the enemy can't see me, but I can't see myself either, so it's a bit wonky on that part. I feel like this could easily be fixed by making it similar to Forest Burn's invisibility, where only the user can see themselves. Other than that, the character doesn't have much else to them other than the Jun Cena ult, which I do think is amazing, so overall B tier. The Abyss version of Nolan. I feel like this character is decently strong, with the core of their moveset allowing Nolan to summon an Abyss Eye and hit it to make it explode. Nothing else really with this character though. C tier, moving on. While Ace is one of the lesser known characters, being created as the PsyQuest tournament mascot, I can't say I didn't enjoy playing them with their gameplay revolving around their clone. You can summon this clone by hitting a special attack or with down special. The clone will copy your specials and strong attacks. You are also able to move this clone in various ways, and if the clone dies from being hit or falling off the stage, you will take damage and be put in hit stun for a bit. This is again another character that is pretty standard alts, with not much else to them, but I still think the character is pretty strong and has some fun setups you can do with the clone, as well as having a funny pair taunt, so overall C tier. Now, while this is definitely not a lesser known character, I bet you didn't know that Psy helped make it, and, well, do I even need to explain why this character is so good? Basically every Rivals player has this one downloaded, and for a good reason. This character has been polished to pure perfection. The attacks as well as the animations accompanying them are just so clean, as well as the character being decently balanced. I would expect nothing less from a character that has gotten 123 updates. S tier, for sure. Another character I bet you didn't know Psy helped work on. This character is going to be rated so high on the tier list for me simply because they feel like a cheap A character, but they aren't, as well as having plenty of extra details and Easter eggs hidden within the character. I think most people would rate this character S tier, however I'm going to rate them A tier because S tier is just for the big boys. The Sun's surface area is 11,990 times that of Earth's. The Sun contains 99.86% of the mass in the solar system. The mass of the Sun is approximately 330,000 times greater than that of Earth's. It is almost 3/4 hydrogen, while most of the remaining mass is helium. The deadliest stick fighter you'll probably ever run into. Mr. Red, while not being nearly as flashy as the other characters, still has a decent amount of flash to them for just being a stick figure. In addition to this, the character is yet another character that is on the stronger side of the spectrum, building up a shock meter that allows you to use extra attacks and combos, as well as freeze the opponent in time with down special. So overall, not very flashy, but still decently powerful. C tier. Okay, now let's move on to talking about more of the popular characters. This is another one of my favorite characters Sai has made. The main gimmick of this character is you build up meter by hitting... Yeah, you already know how this works. It's basically identical to how Katie builds up meter. Now, once you have enough meter, you can spend it in a variety of different ways, ranging from special attacks to EX strong attacks to even more attacks. I'm not sure how I even perform them. You can also go into a different state with neutral special that will drain your meter over time but makes all the moves free to use. Now, with all this power, the character had to be nerfed. So he was put in a lawn chair, limiting his power because If not, then he probably would have taken over the entirety of Danforce by now. So, final verdict, A tier. Very strong, very flashy, very fun to play. Would be S tier, but there is a character that is clearly superior to him. And that character is Burgle. It's Bird Virgil. Do I need to explain any further why this character is in S tier? If you remember from before, I talked about Nolan, or the Void version of Nolan. Well, this is the normal version of them, or otherwise known as Ronald McDonald but anime and is a furry. Now, in my opinion, I think this character is amazing for multiple reasons. Not only do the sprite work and attacks flow together well with the character, but also just the fact that Sai was able to take an already existing OP character and turn them into a way more balanced character, going as far as to essentially add 2 new bars to the character. Speaking of these bars, that's the main gimmick of this character. You have a food meter and a battery meter. You gain charge on the food meter by picking up burgers as well as Happy Meals and even pennies that will fly off the opponent if you hit them. Hey, an underpaid employee has to take what they can get. But be careful with this because you will also drop these when you are hit, and the opponent can heal if they pick them up. Once you have enough, you can spend this meter in order to use special food attacks. Now onto the battery meter. This gains charge whenever you're hit, and can be used to perform a mini version of Ronald's laser as well as a few other attacks. So overall, I give Nolan an A tier because of how this character isn't just a tune down of an OP character, but instead has a whole new meter system to balance things out. The character also has a nice bit of detail in them, like their taunt and some of these alts. Obama is very similar to Katie in the fact that he is not similar to Katie in terms of gameplay, but they are both proud Americans using guns to their advantage. In addition to guns, Obama also uses doors, bombs, and even pure-blooded patriotism. Obama can also buff these attacks by using his beloved Obama Prism, allowing him to buff strong attacks, special attacks, and jump. Overall, this character has just so much contained within them in terms of the Prism, I just have to give him an A tier. Now, this is probably the most meh character to me. Not bad, but not amazingly good either. The character has a meter that you can charge by hitting the opponent, I know, very original, and you can spend this charge to use an assortment of guns. Kinda sounds like a character we talked about before. Of course, this character is not just a complete copy-paste, but they're also nothing special. D tier. While Agent M sure is a fun character to play with their voice lines, they are also certainly powerful. I love this character. Although it doesn't have any crazy unique alts at the moment, the amount of things you can do other than attacks is pretty crazy. There's an up and down taunt that are pretty cool, and you can spam the normal taunt to make Agent M's hips wiggle. You can do this and this. You can also just hold up to perform an animation as well as, maybe don't do that one. I love the amount of animations in this character, and the sound effects make it even better. S tier. I remember when Link was first brought into the game. They were completely busted, but since then they have been toned down a bit. The main gimmick of this character is the giant ring that they use to fight. After you hit the opponent 3 times with the ring, it will break off of Link. You can also just throw it off with side, down, or up special. Once the ring is detached, you can use side, down, or up special to teleport to it and perform an attack. Additionally, you can just whack the ring into your opponent and use it for combos. The ring can even bounce off the side blast zones of this stage. In order to get the ring back once it is detached, you can either use one of the specials mentioned before and then hit the opponent to regain its charge, or you can use a strong attack to download it back to your back. Phew, that took a while to explain. Now, on to the details. Using taunt, you can receive some info on the opponent you are fighting, and then using down taunt, you can receive stats on how good they are in specific categories. Other than that, although there are no special alts, the ones that there are do have some nice themes to them, such as Sus, and, I give Link an A tier. I'm going to group these two together because although they have slightly different gimmicks, in the end I am going to give them the same tier. Novus End has a meter, and you already know how this works. Blah blah blah, build meter, use special, go burr. Same with Ancient End, except they pretty much only use their meter on knives. These knives can be knocked into the opponent and makes the opponent take more knockback, but the effect will be removed if the opponent hits you. You can also use up special and neutral special on the knives for different interactions. If the knives are already in the opponent when you use either up special or neutral special on them, the opponent will be impaled with the knives. Both of these characters are going into B tier because of how similar they are, and they don't have much detail to them. You see, the thing I like about Chara compared to the other characters is that they don't have one main gimmick that has you revolve your whole playstyle around. Chara instead has a lot of little cool attacks that make up the character. Down strong sets a save point for the opponent that they will teleport back to after a while. Forward strong sets a save point for you that you will teleport back to after you finish the attack. And neutral special pulls up a... I don't know what this thing is called. But if you time it right, your specials become stronger. If you want to see all of these moves in action, I will link a combo video of mine down below. Also, the character has a funny taunt and rainbow ult. Characters going into S tier, definitely because I think the character is amazing, and not because I'm scared of the Undertale fandom harassing me. Batbat is another character that used to be way stronger, but got nerfed due to being selected to be a workshop participant in Riptide. However, this nerf also came with a bunch of new cool alts. Also, I think Batbat did need a nerf, so overall the update was a positive for the character. This character has a fresh, new gimmick, and that doesn't just revolve around meters. Instead, it has to do with balls. So many balls. Weak ones, strong ones. Power up your balls and slap them as hard as you can to beat your opponent. So my final verdict for this character is S tier. The new alts as well as the taunt add a lot of detail to Batbat, and the nerf didn't do much. Batbat is still pretty strong, and if anything, is more fun to play against now. Okay, lightning round, go. I'm going to keep this one short because this character got reworked and it would take a while to explain, and this video is already long enough as it is. I will link a video down below to showcase the rework if you want to look at that. All you need to know is that there's a yin and yang meter, white equals combo, black equals kill power, and this character is a funny alt. B tier. It would be an A tier, but this character is a bit complicated for my liking. S tier. Do I need to explain why? If a creator makes a character that's based off of themselves, you know it's going to be the highest of quality. Psi, but no painting characters, and it has more melee-based attacks. A, because there's no way I could put these two in the same tier. Uses Ice and Snow to freeze their opponents, has a funny JoJo's ult, and has a neat little music taunt. A tier. Lightning round over. Mayu is probably one of, if not my favorite characters to play. I cannot stress enough how much I love the mechanic in games where you can hurt yourself for more power. The way this character works is that you can gain sword charge by either hitting your opponent or by stabbing yourself with down special. This charge will go away after a while, so be sure to use it quickly. With this sword charge, you can use it to perform a special attack, but stronger. I guess the best way I can describe Mayu is if Zeta and Cloud had a child, and that child had suicidal tendencies. You know what? On second thought, maybe don't describe it that way. Anyways, the alts are also pretty cool, and you can hold the taunt, so S tier. This is actually the first Psy character that I ever played, and I have to say, Uza still is just as good as back then. This character specializes in slow, heavy attacks, but with the help of the... what is this? A cigarette? With the help of the cancer meter, Uza gains not only the ability to dash, but also multiple other special attacks. The unique thing about this meter is that, unlike the others, it can be refilled by simply crouching. Other than that, the character has some special alts, which are nice, and a taunt that if you hold it, it does this. It doesn't do any damage, but it is really flashy. Again, another character that is S tier. Now, the concept of this character on paper sounds pretty good. You throw knives, and if one of them hits, you can teleport to your opponent and hit them to gain a charge that allows you to perform stronger special attacks. However, what ends up happening because of how fast you can use the knives is most of the time the other player will just spam the knives and then teleport again, and again, and again, and again. So I think the concept of this character is great, but unfortunately the execution definitely could have been better. Other than that, though, the character is great. No special alts, but they feel pretty clean to play overall, and are just as flashy as the other characters, B tier. Haha, funny OP character, go brrr, F tier. And that's all of Sai's characters ranked. Thank you everyone for watching, and wait, I missed a character, didn't I? Well, I didn't want to talk about this character, but I guess I am ranking every character. Do you remember in the beginning when I said, so just note that if these characters were ranked against other characters in the workshop, they would most likely be ranked A or higher, other than one, but we'll talk about that later. Well, later is now, so let's talk about my least favorite Sai character, Luca. The main gimmick of this character is that while on the character select screen, you can determine 2 stances that are going to be used in battle. There is also a shop accessible by taunting on it or taunting during respawn, and in this shop you can buy buffs to buff yourself. There's a ton of information that goes into all the different stances, and I'm not going to bore you with it, so instead I'll leave a link in the description that will give you a whole guide on the character. And you may be able to tell by now why this is my least favorite character. The fact that they are so complicated. And no, this is not just me being stupid and not being able to figure out how to play the character correctly or at all. Sai even stated themselves in a discussion linked to the main character, Luca guides, because this character have absurd complexity. Yes, it was put that way. That was not me messing up on the script. The best way I can summarize this character is Shulk, but more complicated and also a furry, but I guess that is all of Sai's characters. So, with all that said, I will be giving this character the dreaded F tier. I'm sorry, but I just don't understand what I'm doing when I'm playing this character, and I don't want to have to read a whole book just to understand the basics of the character. However, then again, this is just my opinion. So be sure to comment down below why I'm wrong or just too ignorant to truly appreciate the character. If you're still watching, then thank you so much. This video took a long time to make. I mean, just look at the script. I would like to apologize if I missed anything or messed up any information. I'm not the god of all knowledge, you know. And finally, I would also like to thank Shrimpinator for reviewing the script before I recorded the voiceover. There will be a link to their channel down below. So, again, thank you for watching, and goodbye.